Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
We're in Way Media.
Haim and Corey Feldman are giving out their personal numbers. If you call 1-900-909-3700, you can listen to their private phone messages and get their personal number where you can leave them a message of your own. $2 the first minute, 45 cents each additional minute. Ask your parents before you call. 1-900-909-3700.
If you call me right now, I'll give you my private number.
You call that number and you'll hear a recording, and I'll give you my personal number if you call that, and we'll wrap.
Welcome back? I don't know if I can welcome you back. I mean, here we are again. I can say that, I guess.
Here we are.
Midnight viewers. Welcome to HP Hates Me. You know, when I named the show that, I thought, oh, that's funny. It rhymes. It's kind of clever. And it's a fun little thing to call the show. It's true. HP hates me. Proof is in the pudding. HP, the man who hates me. How are you, my friend? Question mark.
You know what? I'd have to say the way I'm feeling nowadays would probably be intense, powerful.
Have you got that New Jack swing?
That's an exact quote from the entertainment we're about to dissect.
HP. I really struggled with this one. This one almost broke me. So I think the rest of this series is going to be smooth sailing.
How could it be any worse than this?
Could you please tell our listeners what we watched? And first of all, as always, anything we discuss on any of our shows, except for Tales from the Dark Side, you got to really search for that one. But any of the shows that we discuss here on this show, you can get on YouTube. So go seek this out immediately and fucking suffer through it, because I did. Oh my God. No, don't. Oh no, I want you to suffer with me. Misery Loves Company. Spend the Night with Stephen King.
This is readily available on YouTube. This is called Corey Haim, Me, Myself, and I. This is from 1989. Now, it's no secret to, I don't know, maybe younger people may not know Corey Haim or understand his story, but those of us who grew up with Corey Haim's movies and saw his downfall understand that he had a really tough life. There's no getting around that. He was abused as a child actor in ways that it's hard for anybody to fathom. Okay. This led to serious drug and alcohol problems, mainly drug. He may not have even had an alcohol issue. I take that back. I think it was mainly drugs, but he was hooked on drugs for most of his life. In this case, fresh out of his first stint in rehab, he made this video called Me, Myself, and I. This was marketed as something to sell to teeny boppers who couldn't get enough of the teen idol Corey Haim. But people who watch this, adults, people who don't have his Teen Scene magazine pictures all over their wall, understand that this is actually not a piece of fluff. This was an attempt to show the world, and Hollywood in particular, Father Malone, that Corey Haim was sober, in good shape, and ready to work. That was the really sum total purpose of this, was to prove to his peers in Hollywood that, hey, I know you guys heard that I was in rehab and maybe I wasn't doing so well, but hey, look at me now. I look great, don't I? I can do all these things. I can play sports. I can act. I can model. I am ready to go back to work. And in fact, we'll talk about it, but he says those very words in the midst of this movie. But let's take the conceit that this is just a fluff piece, which it's really not. This was him just being filmed verite style, doing
You're
his
being
thing.
Very generous.
I am. Verite is a highfalutin word to describe what's going on here. But it's a day in the life of Corey Haim. He's playing tennis. He's playing hockey. He's going for a drive in his Alfa Romeo convertible. He's modeling.
This whole thing is completely insidious. The idea here is that they're selling stuff basically to his fan club. This is a video of a day in the life of Corey. He's good again. All is well. But really, it is just an attempt to let the industry know I'm ready to work. It is so boneheaded. Go, please continue. We'll get into it.
As I said, this was from 1989. And the thing of it is, ultimately, aside from Dream a Little Dream, which I think actually was filmed before this.
Yes.
It's worth noting that Corey Haim never really acted in a true big budget movie ever again after this, unless you count he had a Don't Blink and You'll Miss a cameo in Dickie Roberts, former child star, and also a brief cameo in Crank High Voltage, the Jason Statham sequel. Do you remember that movie?
I remember, but I don't remember him in it.
He's a mulleted boyfriend of Amy Smart who gets his ass kicked. It's literally a 5-minute scene. He's not in it very much. But my point is, the gambit didn't work in the least. People understood the problems that this guy had, and they were manifold. He did a lot of low budget direct to video movies. He famously things got so dire that he tried to sell a tooth and clumps of hair on eBay because for a while he was homeless. He was in such dire straits. So it's a very sad tale. That much is not in dispute at all. But let's take the conceit of this movie, in quotes, in and of the time that it was presented, and we'll go with that. Because we all understand he had a fucked up life, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for your choices, and he made a fuckload of bad choices, starting with this movie, making this movie.
Which was your Corey?
My Corey? If we're talking Lost Boys, which is the zenith of the two Corys, you're not.
I am talking overall.
Overall,
At the time, let's say around. So yeah, let's say License to Drive. At that point, who are you favoring?
Look, if I'm being perfectly honest,
Corey Feldman.
It was Corey Feldman because he was in the Goonies.
Mouth.
He was Mouth.
He's in Gremlins.
He was in Gremlins. He was in Stand By Me, and truth be told, he is great in all of these. He was also in The Burbs, wasn't he?
He sure was. He's not as great in that. He is great in all of these, though.
So, look, if I say that at the time I would have been on the Feldman side, that people don't remember that. They only see the nutcase that is playing these awful guitar solos with this terrible band, somebody who fancies himself a pop star for the new millennium, and he's awful. He's a whack job. He's got that group, was it like Feldman's Angels or Corey's Angels? This weird cult that he has of these beautiful women that he keeps in his house, and he monitors what they eat and what they wear. He's not a good guy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you're telling me in the 80s who my favorite actor was between Haim and Feldman, I'm going Feldman. How about you?
I liked Feldman, but as an actor, I think I appreciated Haim more because he was the star of Silver Bullet, which was a Stephen King adaptation of his novel or his novelette, Cycle of the Werewolf. I loved him in that. I loved Lucas. Thought that was great. He was great in that. What's the other thing he did right before Lost Boys? One other thing.
Oh, Firstborn?
Oh my God, he's the little brother in Firstborn too. Yeah.
I have a great anecdote about Firstborn. Have you ever heard this story about what happened? This will make you sympathize with him a little bit. So
Was Peter Weller like just smacking him around all over the set?
Yes. How did you know?
I didn't. I just figured.
The story goes that this was Haim's first feature, Firstborn, 1984. He was 13 years old. After a good take, he went to congratulate Peter. Weller responded by throwing Haim against the wall and shouting at him never to talk to him after a take. He had to have 3 crew members separate them. Now, Weller apologized later and chalked it up to method acting, but the end result was Haim was terrified, and which may work because that was the point, was Peter Weller was a bad guy. So you can say it's method acting, but come on, he's a 13-year-old kid.
That's beyond the pale, but actually not without the realm of possibility with that guy. I know somebody who used to see Mr. Weller. That's all
romantically.
I'll say about
You
that.
mean like dating him?
You could, I guess, call it romantically.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
And what she said was, God forbid you were talking when Peter Weller spots Peter Weller on a television, because he's like, shut up, and turns it on and turns the volume up and then stares in rapt attention watching himself.
And the best actors actually hate seeing themselves. Like they refuse to watch their own performances.
Midnight viewers, if you want that actual story, you can write to me. I'll tell you the whole thing.
Did you know he had a cameo in Batman and Robin? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
He was a biker gang member.
I was going to say he must have been one of the gang members. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Joel Schumacher throwing him some work.
He went from Lucas to a TV show called Roomies. This is Burt Young, Paulie from Rocky, a 42-year-old Marine sergeant and a 14-year-old fish-obsessed genius strike a perfect and reciprocal balance as college freshman roommates.
He's a 42-year-old ex-Marine. Get up! He's a 14-year-old boy genius. Together, they'll trash the freshman class in Roomies, premiering Friday.
Hey, he's an old guy. He's a young guy. They're in college together. How wacky is that?
God, the 80s were just rife with, he's garbage man. She's a germaphobe.
That's right. How will they ever get along? But I think you and I can agree that The Lost Boys was the highlight of his career, bar none.
Absolutely. My God. Was there a bigger picture? I don't think so.
It's definitive. I mean, obviously it's one of our favorites.
Everyone listening to this has seen Lost Boys, but they might not have seen Lucas.
In fact, if memory serves, you're the one who introduced me to Lost Boys, because I wasn't much of a horror fan in high school. And I remember you showing me a double feature of Lost Boys and Near Dark to prove to me that Near Dark was the superior vampire film. And of course, you were right, as always. So,
not always, but in that case, definitely. Near Dark is a superior vampire movie. It came out the same year.
It was a revelation. So,
I got to see Near Dark. I got to see Near Dark completely cold.
Okay.
I had a friend, Brian McMahon, whose father was a police officer, who used to get us into movies for free. He would just flash his badge at the box office and tickets, here you go. So nice. Every Saturday he would take Brian and I to the movies and we would watch a double feature. And on that day I knew we were going to see this Charlie Sheen Porsche stealing movie with, I forget this name. It's called like Wasteland or something like that. And after that, we sat down to a movie I knew nothing about. I'd never heard of. It just started, and suddenly half the cast of Aliens is on screen, and they're vampires. Holy shit!
It's great. In fact, I'm going to insist people who haven't seen Near Dark, pause this podcast, go watch Near Dark. It's got nothing to do with Corey Haim or what we're discussing here, but do yourself a favor and see it. It transcends horror. It's just a great fucking movie.
Yeah, you're gonna
Okay, you're
need
back?
it. You're gonna need it as a palate cleanser after you watch the YouTube version of Corey Haim, Me, Myself, and Kill Me Already.
You will. So this was actually a released video. This had a box. It had an inscription from Corey on the back saying, "Dear fans, thanks for your support. I hope you enjoy this as much as we enjoyed making it. Love, Corey Haim." This wasn't just some industry. Like I always had this image in my mind that this was just something that was passed around in the industry. Somebody got a hold of this tape, but it was never. No, this was a released video that you could rent in video stores with copy on the back and a case and everything. So this video, Father Malone, was written and co-directed by Brooke McCarter. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about this ahead of time. You have a story about Brooke McCarter, yeah. Do you not? Now, who is Brooke McCarter? Tell everybody.
Brooke McCarter is one of the Lost Boys. He is the Death by Stereo Lost Boy.
Garlic
you killed Marco,
boys. Yeah, the blonde,
yeah.
One of the blondes.
Yeah, and he also showed up in a new Twilight Zone episode. He was quite good in. I mean, he was a good actor, actually. He's passed away since then. He died of liver cancer.
Oh, that's sad.
Now, many years ago, one of my earlier podcasts is called Dark Destinations. It is a radio drama, basically, and it takes place, each episode takes place in a different fictional environment. One of them takes place in Santa Carla. And at the time, I was trying to popularize the show, and I joined a Facebook group of Lost Boys. And oh my God. Okay, so yeah, I had seen this meme that was showing the Lost Boys from the movie, all young and beautiful and perfect. And then a shot of them 15 years later where they all looked old and fat. And underneath it said, "Party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire." That was funny. I posted it in the group and I got shellacked, man. Really? I had people threatening my life.
Wow.
Yeah. I got a voice message on Facebook from this lunatic because evidently Brooke McCarter, I had known this at the time. Brooke McCarter had already passed away from liver cancer, but they were just like, "How dare you? His family could see this. They're on here and blah, blah, blah." And I took it down because there was such vitriol. But then the same person then sent it to Brooke McCarter's family to call me out. He said, this person was like, "You need to take this down because it might offend the family if they see it." And then when I did, he sent it to the family.
What a lunatic.
Yeah.
That's the definition of a social justice warrior right there.
Insanity. Anyway, Brooke McCarter.
Wow. Now, the thing is, I never read the Corey Feldman memoir. I think it's called Choreography.
God almighty, how could anybody?
But he may be an unreliable narrator in this case, but according to him, it's my understanding that he didn't have a very high opinion of Brooke McCarter. I think because at the time that this video was made, Brooke McCarter was living with Haim, and he was acting as a kind of manager / life coach. And I think in Feldman's way of thinking, he was a hanger-on, somebody who was not good for Corey Haim and an enabler in some way.
I wonder how much, as writer-director of this video, he received for a fee.
How much he received as payment?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't have any idea of how much this thing actually sold or how popular it was in its day.
I'm just saying, was the motivation here to rehabilitate Corey's career, or was it to make a buck on Corey when you still could? Because if he actually got rehabilitated and started starring in movies, that was the last time you were going to see him.
Look, I've seen this probably more than any one person should have watched it, and I can't answer that question. There's mysteries around this thing that will never be solved, and the direction is definitely a big one. But so it's interesting that one of his co-stars in The Lost Boys directed this thing. Directing is an odd word to use because just to describe this, I'll get into the nuts and bolts, but this thing could not be any more 80s, the actual look of it, because it switches between color and black and white and that high-speed shutter strobe thing, which immediately marks it as a late 80s artifact. And it's not just Corey talking to the camera. There's some interview bits and him talking in voiceovers, but an awful lot of it is just, it's almost like he's filming the behind the scenes of what it is he's trying to direct. So if he's trying to film Corey playing tennis, It's not enough to just show him playing tennis. He has to show the camera operators setting up on the court with the steady cam, crab walking backwards while Corey sets up a shot. Okay, no, let's try that one again. And they do another shot. I don't know any teeny bopper who would have had the patience to sit through this thing, because it's not just Corey being Corey. It's like you're getting a making of at the same time. It's unlike anything else I've ever seen Father Malone in that respect.
I guess in that regard, it is a breakthrough, a making of while you're watching the final product.
And throughout, by the way, there is this incessant New Jack Swing groove playing.
Oh
I
my
don't
God,
know.
I mentioned it. It was interminable.
It's so weird. It's like somebody got themselves an 808 drum machine, and it's just like this swing beat with a bass playing, and there's no vocals. It's like you're in an elevator circa 1989, and it's that version of Muzak playing over the elevator. It's grating. There's no other word for it. It just gets so annoying. But
It made me want to wear a too long coat.
Start doing the Roger Rabbit dance move. And
Totally,
maybe,
man.
Vanilla.
I need a zoot suit pocket chain.
Like parachute pants and
Totally.
and a Vanilla Ice, because he has a Vanilla Ice look to him at times. He's got like the sort of frosted...
Get me an Africa medallion fashioned in leather.
So we start out, there's a sequence. If we're going to break this up into chunks, the first chunk of this movie is footage of Corey playing a lot of sports. He plays hockey. He's wearing a custom Bruins jersey.
What's
that
it
says
say?
Hamster. It says
Hamster.
Hamster 22 on the back. It's like his own personal Bruins jersey. And by playing, I mean he's mainly skating around and taking one-on-one shots at the goal. There's an Elvis vibe to some of this, Father Malone, because it's
like Elvis, that's the way it is.
It's people whose job it is to make him look good, whether he's playing tennis or, like I said, he's playing hockey. There's a goalie who's missing every shot that he's shooting at him. There's a bit where he's playing baseball and they're just shagging grounders and whatever else. But it's all of these people who are there in service to Corey Haim, but I can't imagine any of them weren't aware of his serious substance abuse problems, because it's on full display here. As much as he says to the camera, hey, I'm good, I'm ready to work, you can see by his interview footage, like there's a sequence that they go back to several times of him on a couch, and
I had a hard time watching this scene.
It was hard because they're giving him questions. Like at one point, I have some of this written down here. There's one of them, he fidgets, he makes odd facial expressions. He's giving these rambling, kind of addled responses, which if your goal is to convey health and well-being, this is conveying the exact opposite message. Because at one point he says, this is a direct quote, he says, as far as my fans out there being and like, help Corey, where's our Corey? And the whole misconception thing from the people out there, they have every right to feel the way they do. And things are great with me, as you see. I'm in very good shape now and on the ball. Things are happening. Me saying that doesn't do justice to the facial tics that he's got going on and the he says it there. I'm in very good shape now. That's not something you say in a fluff piece. He's sending a message to people saying, hire me, I'm good. And he's not good.
I thought he was a cokehead. He's clearly on fucking depressants here. He's half-lidded. He's forcing every word out. He really has to think about everything he's saying.
I do think that there are parts that he is on cocaine, because there's a sequence where he's in front of a bank of keyboards.
Oh,
and
we'll get there.
We'll talk about that. That's another one of these vignettes, is him playing music and giving his thoughts on music. For example, this is an infamous quote from this. He said, the interview asks what current music he likes, and he says inexplicably, he says, I'm into that Japanese funk, that funky hip jam thing. Now, years later, in 2004, Haim was interviewed for Vice magazine the person there was doing they were going to make a movie about Alfies. Have you ever heard of Alfies, the club Alfies from back then, Father Malone?
No.
There is an interesting story here. Apparently, there was a club run by a guy named Alfie that catered specifically to child stars.
Oh, in the Roosevelt Hotel.
Yes, like Scott, they had their own version of kind of the Brat Pack. It was Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Alyssa Milano, Scott Grimes was in the group, and
Soleil Moon Frye.
I don't know if she was in it, but so this person was going to make a movie.
What about that girl from Small Wonder? Was she allowed?
The robot? I don't know.
Yeah. Vicky.
It all sounds very dark
Alf?
to me.
Was Alf running around in there?
Who is the guy who's addicted to heroin? Max something, the star of Alf.
What was it? No, not the star. It was one of the writers.
No, the one of the writers was, but that guy Max, what's his name? He had a drug problem too.
My
anyway,
God, the depravity.
He had a problem.
Of Alf.
It was
okay.
crazy.
So hidden nightclub only for young teens. Was Danny Pintaro allowed in?
No, I don't know.
You didn't have an Alyssa Milano hookup? Come on.
No, I think Alyssa Milano dated Corey Haim for a time. So anyway, this person from Vice was interviewing Corey Haim for this thing about Alfies that apparently never really manifested itself. But he asks Corey Haim up front, he says, "What's Japanese funk?" And Haim replies, "Oh, I was just messing around. At the time, Japanese funk was Japanese funk. It's whatever. There's no such thing as Japanese funk," which tells me that he didn't know what the hell he was saying during that interview in 1989. He couldn't even remember what he was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking back now to the direction that you mentioned, the direction, quote unquote, going on in this. How could this not be just a quick cash grab? Or was Brooke McCarter also completely blitzed? Because anyone can see how fucking high he is in every fucking scene in this movie. It's let's get you rehabilitated. We'll put out this fucking thing and then the industry will know. Meanwhile, everyone had to be stoned because I don't understand how this got out.
It's really remarkable because the more it's like he doth protest too much. The more he tries to convey an image of stability and health, the more he's doing the exact opposite. Because like you said, he's giving these very heavily lidded interviews. He's manic at some points. He's giving weird answers to some of these interview questions. It just doesn't make any sense why you would want this to come out.
He shows he's a menace when he gets behind the wheel of a car with a fucking camera rig strapped to it. So he's driving around. He can't even see.
That's so great because this is half behind the scenes. There's an extended sequence where you see them trying to attach the camera to the car.
Bunch of dummies.
They're a bunch of dummies. And as he's just driving for no real reason. He's just talking as he's driving how much he loves LA. The camera, I swear, is shaking so much. If you've ever tried to drive, I did this once when I first had a camera phone. I tried to prop my phone on my dashboard as I drove just to see, hey, what, like a steady cam shot. No, it just vibrates all to hell and you can't make out anything. That's what happened here. These lunkheads tried to bolt this camera on this Alfa Romeo. And it's not only do you have the danger of this piece of equipment falling off on the highway, but very likely Corey Haim himself is under the influence. He shouldn't be driving. It's crazy, Father Malone.
This is an insane piece of entertainment, HB.
It's dangerous. Like I wrote here. Now, like I said, I've seen this many times. I wrote at one point, I said, we're only 14 minutes into this video and it feels like 3 hours. Because,
at least.
Because not a lot happens. I may be overselling what transpires, but it's like there'll be the thesis of a segment will be, like I said, sports, or it'll be cars. And it will be a good, I don't know, 8 minutes, 10 minutes devoted to that. Here's them putting a camera on the car. Here's him getting in the car. Here's him driving. Here's him talking about the sound editor who's sitting with them in the car. And it just goes on and on. Nothing really happens. But again, the irony is nothing's happening, but everything is up there on the screen. You just have to open your eyes and see how this poor soul is acting. I don't know.
And directed, written? What was written? Shouldn't one actor have recognized another actor needs a fucking script? Or are all actors just like, I'll just wing it?
Well, my guess is this was written in a manner not unlike how they wrote the movie Head. Remember the famous story about how the monkeys wrote Head?
Oh yeah,
they
went
got
up
together.
to they went up to Joshua Tree and they locked themselves in a cabin and they all took acid.
Yeah, like Bob Rafelson was there, Jack Nicholson was there, and they just went, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if we were dandruff in some guy's head? Wouldn't that be hilarious?" Now, it will, as a side note, I fucking love Head. I think it's brilliant. So in that case, they captured lightning in the bottle despite themselves. But I suspect the making of this, not to speak ill of the dead, because as you said, both McMasters and I'm sorry,
McCarter.
McCarter, excuse me, and Haim are both dead, sadly. But I don't think there was a lot of thought put into how this was going to be made. I think they just sat around and said, "Hey man, I got it. We'll have a sequence where you're playing hockey and you look great and you're hitting shots into the goal. And then you're talking about how much it's a team sport. And the fact that it's a team sport means that, hey, filmmaking is a team sport too. So read between the lines. I'm a team player." And then we'll have you like modeling because you show how good you, that's just what I think happened. The two of them, Cabana, just hashing this out while under the influence. That's my guess.
Like Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson on coke in that room together. You ever hear that story?
No, what is it?
Fiona Apple, who was dating Paul Thomas Anderson at the time, said something to the effect of, "You don't know what hell is unless you've been in a room with Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson, like both high on cocaine, talking about themselves."
Seriously, that now Quentin Tarantino is such a cuddly guy. He's an elder statesman for that type of filmmaking. But yeah, I could imagine him talking your ear off, chattering. Even not on cocaine, he's probably a lot to take in. But I digress. So, like I said, there's a sports thing. There's a whole sequence where he's just floating in his pool. He does nothing else. He dives into the pool. He floats in the pool. He talks about how much he loves his pool. And this just keeps going on and on. He plays on his keyboard. We talked about that.
We didn't really talk about that. Tell us, how would you describe his musical stylings?
You know what? Here's the thing. And you might be surprised by this.
He's actually a pretty good player.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was all prepared to say, oh, he's just hitting random keys on the thing and letting the sampler do the heavy lifting. That may be true for part of this, but there is a part of this musical sequence, this interlude, where you can actually see that he actually is playing. Like he's not playing a song. He's got a chord sequence and he keeps repeating it and he goes back to it. And then he's got this annoying sampler that just keeps repeating vocal phrases because that's what was popular in the 80s. But I was actually surprised, and looking at it with a different lens, he actually had a little bit of skill at the keyboard. I was actually surprised by that. Doesn't mean the music was good, but there was a rhyme and reason to it.
I guess that was my question. What do you think of that music?
And the music's terrible. Make no mistake. It's incessantly repeating and looping. It's like he had a bar of music and the drum machine just keeps looping back, and the melody just keeps looping back, and the bass part keeps looping back. And again, there's this Elvis element where there's guys behind him. Hey, oh yeah, right, yeah, cool. Like they're, if not pretending to groove, at least trying to appreciate what he's doing. But again, there's nothing. This movie is all about the subtext. The text is meaningless. The subtext is really what we're all about.
Jamming on the one. Rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Not only that, I did actually make a joke here. I wrote this down. There's at one point during his fashion shoot, he's wearing a leather jacket with skeletons painted on the back, and he takes it off to reveal what I can only describe as a Gordon Gartrell type shirt. I love using Gordon Gartrell as a reference, Father Malone, because it may be, not that I was a big Cosby Show nerd, but that between the Stevie Wonder jamming on the one and the Gordon Gartrell episode, those to me are perfection. The Gordon Gartrell is hilarious. Do you remember that episode?
I absolutely remember that, with that designer shirt.
Yeah. Denise was she said, oh, I can make you, because the shirts were super expensive. They were like hundreds of dollars. And Denise said, I can make you one of those for $30. And he's like, done, do it. And he puts it on, and it's so over the top ridiculous. One sleeve is too long, one sleeve is too short. The buttons and the collar don't line up. And it's this great reveal where he comes out and he's screaming at Denise about this terrible shirt. Look, in all seriousness, Malcolm Jamal Warner, we lost a really good actor, a good comic actor, and a very good comedic actor, and a fabulous musician to boot. No joke.
Not accusing you of joking, and I agree with that sentiment 100%. If you watched most recently on Key and Peele, he keeps showing up as this like black Republican in like jeans and one of those stupid leather jackets, and he's like, "I'm pissed, royally pissed."
It's so good. It's funny because there's an interesting dichotomy here. We bring up Malcolm Jamal Warner, and we're talking about Corey Haim. They both are child actors. Who
do you think the Cosby kids were in that nightclub?
Probably not, because I don't think Mr. Cosby, which is what they all had to call him. Like even now, these kids, quote unquote, are like in their 50s and they still call him Mr. Cosby, which I think is interesting. But no, I don't think any of them could be in those clubs. Remember, Lisa Bonet did Angel Heart, and she was kicked off of like a different world. Like that ruined her standing with Cosby.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But then she showed back up on the Cosby Show.
She did. She married that naval nerd.
Yep.
What was that guy's name?
Who cares? He was terrible.
I don't know.
I just remember that at one point, as a joke, all of the characters came in and they were wearing shirts that said PG or R or something like that. And then she came in wearing an X because Angel Heart had been rated X initially because of the sex scene between her and Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Did I tell you when I met Lisa Bonet one time?
You never told me this story.
So I was working at the New Wilshire Theater in Santa Monica between 14th and Euclid Street. And it was a matinee on a Sunday, and it was so early in the morning. And the movie had just ended, and I'd come downstairs, and Lisa Bonet came out and said, "Can you help me find my glasses?" And it was like a goddess, man. There are very few people I've met who people describe the it factor. They just glow. You just want to do anything for them. And she was one of those people. And so I went in and I found her glasses. I was so excited to find her glasses for her, like her champion. And then I gave her glasses and she said, "Thank you very much." And it was, I'm still on cloud nine.
Yeah. You had the sunshine shining down on you.
Oh my God. This is like 1992, 93, by the way. Like Lisa Bonet, just, oh my, short hair, just gorgeous. Her skin was so, oh man.
She was beautiful. She would not, I know she went back to Cosby eventually, but she did her own thing. Remember I think she did Playboy. She married Lenny Kravitz. Remember that?
She sure did.
Beautiful performers.
Zoe Kravitz is their child.
Beautiful and fucking talented as hell.
Fucking A, man. Oh, I love Lisa Bonet. Jason Momoa is a fucking idiot.
I know, huh? He blew it. But I just think it's interesting. We're talking about these child actors, and again, there's been some dispute over what actually happened to Corey Haim. I know Corey Feldman has his side of the record, and he's gone on record as saying what he believes, and I guess we take him at his word because he apparently knew him better than anybody. But at a minimum, he had a shitty life. I'm sure he was fairly unsupervised. I don't think he had a lot of parental oversight from what was happening to him. But having said that, like I said, I do believe that ultimately we have a responsibility to make good choices. And I don't know, I guess it's up for debate whether any of this could have been avoided, or if maybe he had just that type of addictive personality and he couldn't, maybe that he was fated to end up like this. It's sad. But this kind of nakedly ambitious means of upping his standing in Hollywood, it is sad that he had to resort to that, but it's a little bit, I don't know, there's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little sneaky and a little bit absurd that he would try to pull this over on Hollywood, because no one's going to fall for this. It's
Not
so ridiculous.
One person. This is my point. It wasn't done in a vacuum. This isn't like a video that escaped onto the internet. There was no internet. This is something they crafted. So it's not only this group of idiots. at a certain point, they have to hand it to somebody else who's going to master the tape. And there had to be an executive at some company somewhere. Was everyone so nakedly thinking that this was going to be a bestseller, that they were going to make a lot of money off of it, or that it was going to rehabilitate his career and then they would be on a gravy train? Like, I at no point did anyone say he's completely fucked up in this. Every fucking scene.
Yeah. They're no movie. The thing is, like, if you watch the crappiest midnight movie that you can possibly imagine, something that looks like it was, who made this? The fact is, actually, fuck, why am I blanking on his name? I'm married to Meredith Salinger now. Patton Oswalt. He has a great bit. He talks about deathbed, the bed that eats people. He has this great run where, but it's true that you're seeing this thinking it's this piece of crap, but there are dozens of people behind the scenes making this movie, lighting it. There's somebody bringing in bagels, right? Somebody who caters this.
Well, nobody sets out to make a bad movie.
But my point is, we're watching this. The quality is really, it's like a camcorder from 1989. It just doesn't look very good. It looks like somebody did this as a home movie. But when you watch it, there's no denying that there are photographers, there are tons of cameramen.
Yeah, this is a
makeup
production.
Artists.
They had to like call ahead to the sports facility and say, Corey Haim's going to be coming and we're going to be on the ice and we're going to be filming. Like, permits were probably worked out. Like, this.
There are vehicles that have to be rented. There's costuming that has to, because there's a whole sequence where he just models a bunch of costumes, including this Gordon Gartrell type shirt. So
had to hire a makeup artist to come make him up while he rambles on.
Hairstylist. There's even this weird shot of somebody pumping air into the alligator float that he then floats on the pool. It's like, why would you film that? Someone literally with one of those little things to fill it up with air. It's insane. But you're right. At no point did anybody, or maybe someone did and they were overruled. But it seems like nobody was the adult on the set saying, "What the fuck are we doing here? Look at him. He can barely speak without falling asleep right there on the couch. He looks terrible. He's not making any sense. He's a danger to himself. Why the fuck are we here?" That never happened.
Yeah, this isn't let's just get him through the gig. This is let's rehabilitate his career.
Or probably more likely, hey, maybe there's money to be made. He has a big fan base. Girls love him. Let's put this out under the guise that it's a day in the life of this guy, and we'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll restore his standing in Hollywood and make a few bucks in the bargain. I couldn't find any sales figures for this thing. Somehow I doubt that it made a lot of money. Look, I saw this thing for years. I didn't even know that this was a released piece of media. I thought this was just some video cassette that had been passed around Hollywood that somehow leaked out. They thought this thing was going to sell.
Yeah, I didn't know it was either. I saw it in Los Angeles, like at a party. Somebody was like, "You've never seen that?" And they like popped it in. So I assumed, like you did, that this was just something being passed around. Yeah,
just some like the Trogs tape, something that like they captured lightning in a bottle.
The Spirit of Christmas. That was the same era that videotape was actually being passed around. That was an actual viral video.
Yeah, and that made the South Park guys, right? That was what lit the flame. And
oh my God. And you know what? I did what everyone did. As soon as that tape got into my hand, somebody let me borrow it. I duped it and handed it back. And then somebody passed it on and on. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the very definition of viral. But this, I just don't know anyone who could watch this and not just see through all of the ridiculousness of it and say, this is a really sad video. There's nothing funny about it, especially now knowing that he never regained any sort of standing. He never got back to Hollywood. I know, like I said, he'd done a few cameos and things here and there. By the way, have you ever seen him in Dickie Roberts, former child actor?
No. Is he in the poker scene?
No, I think he's only at the end. So the wrap up at the end.
I don't think I got to the end. So sorry, David Spade. I love you, but I couldn't get through that movie.
This is, in its own way, this is every bit as sad as what we're talking about here. The ending of Dickie Roberts is, as the credits are rolling, it's basically a We Are the World style sing-along featuring
Oh yeah, I
former
vaguely
child
remember this.
actors.
Yeah, isn't Barry Williams hamming it up?
Yeah, there's the Brady boys are there. Gary Coleman, of course, is there. Todd Bridges, Adam Rich from Eight Is Enough, who looked really bad. Leif Garrett is there, and they're all. It's the conceit is they're singing this "We Are the World" style ballad, but it's all about how if you come up to me and you call me by my character's name, I will knock you the fuck out. That's literally, and that's. I guess there's something funny about seeing Raj from What's Happening say something like that. That's the
Yeah.
whole humor of it. But it's just sad, man. And then they cut to, and it's clearly Feldman and Haim are there at a different time because they're not part of the larger chorus. It's just a shot of them singing into a microphone, the two of them. You can't even understand what Corey Haim says. Feldman says something about how he doesn't know karate, but he knows crazy. That line, that sort of James Brown line. And then Corey Haim says something. I had to rewind. I'm like, what the fuck did he just say? He just looks awful and it's sad. I know he was on the Two Coreys television show that kind of helped.
Yeah, Corey Feldman's naked attempt to make money off of his ailing friend.
Oof. That's.
By the way, let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
Corey Feldman has been posting on this I'm a victim thing. Now, granted, his parents stole all of his money. That's fucked up, right?
Absolutely.
But everything after that, everything after, say, Lost Boys was all him. And he keeps, earlier you mentioned Haim suffered some rather horrible sexual assaults as a young actor. It feels to me that Corey Feldman has conflated that past with his own. He seems to be drafting off of the actual victimhood of Corey Haim and claiming that he deserves the same sort of, I don't know, what,
sympathy,
yeah.
I agree. Look, one of the problems with Corey Feldman is that the guy just can't get out of his own fucking way. For everything that he does that seems to be sympathetic and maybe you give him kind of a break, he does something that just makes you go, I have no sympathy for you.
Hello, I'm Corey Feldman. Did you know that crack cocaine has become a national concern? This drug is an epidemic sweeping across the country. Crack cocaine is knocking on the doors of many communities, and I'm concerned about the effect it's having in our society. Please, lend a helping hand by joining me and others in the fight to get crack cocaine off the streets. Be a KHJ TV star. Don't use drugs.
I don't know if he does it anymore, but he used to actually have his compound was run as Corey's Angels, where he would get these beautiful blonde women off the street who wanted to make something of themselves in Hollywood. He would take them in, but then he would control what they ate, what they wore. It was a fucking cult is what it was. And that alone is enough for me to say, you know what? You don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. I get it. You were abused and the system fucked you over. But I'm going to say it again. In the context of Corey Feldman, there's a reason why he's not making these big movies anymore. I just don't think, I think Hollywood is, you know what? You're too much for us. No, what you bring to the table, it's not worth it anymore for us to put you in this movie. It's just not.
His response to being not blacklisted, I don't think there's any such thing anymore, but his response to no longer being hired because he had been treated like a joke, one of the Coreys, the teeny bopper guy from the 80s, his response was to become even bigger. His response was to become an even bigger joke.
Yeah.
Cut your hair, stop dancing like Michael Jackson, take some acting classes. It's been a while, and get back in the game, Corey.
The Michael Jackson thing just kills me. As I was diving down the rabbit hole for this in preparation, I told you that I rewatched the Dream a Little Dream, the dance sequence that he does in the gym. He dances for Meredith Salinger's character. And I know that he has said, he's claimed that, I'm not dancing like Michael Jackson. It's just that we both learned at the same time. And no, he's doing Michael Jackson every time he does. He's got the same like shoes with the pant cuffs that come up too high. He's got the hat. He's got the stringy hair that comes down his face. He's doing all of the Michael Jackson moves, and it's just, come on, man, what are you doing?
You ever listen to that Goonies commentary with the cast?
Yes, not recently.
Josh Brolin, always a hero.
Did
Yeah,
he say
Corey,
something about
you
that?
still dancing around like Michael Jackson?
God bless Brolin. That's awesome.
I've always been a fan of that guy, man.
Corey Feldman is so it didn't have to end this way with him because as we already had talked about, he's good in Stand By Me. He's really good in I like him in Lost Boys. He's actually funny in Lost Boys.
I
His sort
agree.
of proto
Got the assignment.
Rambo thing. Yeah. He's good. At some point he went from doing that to doing like Meatballs 4 and Snowboarding Academy or whatever other fuck movies that I
Rock
maybe
and
part of
Roll
that.
High School Forever.
Right.
How dare you?
It's just he could have done it. I know he had his own battle to substance abuse and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is he's still here and Corey Haim isn't. And there's value in that. That's something actually to be admired when you think about it. Somebody who survived. But at the same time, he just seems like such an asshole that I don't know. I guess I'll give him a hand for surviving, but not much more than that.
He's a bigger tragedy in that he actually had promise.
We had talked briefly about the Lifetime movie. There was a Two Coreys Lifetime movie, one of these badly casted, sort of a Matthew Bright, very surface level, lurid movies. You saw it, didn't you?
I've seen enough of it.
Yeah. And what was your assessment of Corey Feldman in that?
It was the catalyst for my theory that he is drafting on the actual torment and grief and brutalization of his friend and treating it as his own and playing the victim when he's just a guy who was a bit of a dickhead, who had a substance abuse problem for a while. And yes, his parents stole all of his money. Nevertheless, he's in a unique position to make a lot of by just behaving, because Richard Donner is nothing if not a fucking loyal human being and would have put him in every fucking movie in the 90s. Every single one of them.
And there was this thing of Corey Feldman, and he was getting he was crying. And he was going like, I'm just so worried about everything that's going on with me right now, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm really worried. And I can hear the producer off camera go, that was great, Corey. Can you just say this weekend? Because that's when he goes, what? Yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah, this weekend.
I think your exact words to me were, Feldman is actually the villain of this whole thing. He's really the villain of this. In the guise of him trying to be, or on the surface being the friend, the brother, if you will, to Corey Haim, he's actually the one who maybe wasn't always looking out for his best interests.
How about take all of the money that you're going to make on your Corey's series and put him in fucking rehab?
He needed it. I know the official word on what he died of was, I think they said he died of pneumonia.
He died of a broken heart.
I don't know that he ever conquered his substance abuse. It's sad.
Of course not. He'd overdosed on something or other.
Yeah. Sad. But we will always have this time capsule of him at 17 years old, Father Malone, and already a has-been.
That is really tragic. Difficult. That's awful, yeah.
Seriously. And the way that this ends, the way that this vanity project, if you will,
this limps.
It limps over the finish line. It's a darkly lit PSA-style bit where Haim is going over the resume of movies that he's made, and it ends with basically him doing a stay in school type PSA. Look, I know it's very glamorous. It looks like it's glamorous to be an actor, but stay in school, do your thing. It was very out of line. Like the whole preceding video that we've just watched is how glamorous it is to be an actor. Look at, I'm wearing wardrobe, fancy clothes. I got my Gordon Gartrell. I'm in my pool. I'm playing tennis. Look how glamorous it is. And then he's like, oh, but don't, do as I say, don't do as I do at the end. I was like, what the fuck is this thrown in bullshit?
It should have been a video of him working at McDonald's. Hanging out with his mom and dad.
I will say this. Speaking of that, there's
playing
one
with a dog, doing something normal and not just coked up fucking lunacy.
The one sort of truly sad bit that's sad in and of the moment and not something that requires some retrospect is the off-screen interviewer at one point asks Haim, if he could relive one day, what would it be? His response, Father Malone, do you remember this? Do you remember this part of the video? He talks about this little stuffed animal that his mother got him before he was born. It's a dog that he had since he was before he was born, and it was his security blanket. He took it everywhere he went. He was making a TV movie with Liza Minnelli, 1985's A Time to Live. He was 14 years old. He had it with him. He left it in his hotel room, and the maid somehow took the bed sheets away, and the stuffed animal was wrapped up in them, and it was gone forever. This little stuffed animal that he had since he was a baby, that was his security blanket, was thrown away during this movie. He says that would be the day that he would relive. Don't you find that fucking wrenching? This one, it's like Rosebud. It's like something out of Citizen Kane. The one thing that he would relive is getting back this fucking stuffed animal that he had since he was a baby. That to me, that kind of got to me. He doesn't express it like that. He doesn't cry or anything. He just offhandedly says, yeah, that would be the day that I would relive. I'm like, that's fucking sad.
Did that happen while he was filming Lost Boys? Because it's just 3 years prior.
It was in 85. It was 2 years before Lost Boys.
Okay, but he's recording this in 1988.
Not 89.
Yeah, it came out in 89.
He was 17 when he made this.
So I'm saying it's only 3 years ago. He's saying, I want to go back to that time 3 years ago when I lost my stuffed animal.
But if I ask,
I actually tuned out during this part, HP, because as soon as he brought up a stuffed animal, I went, "This is for teeny boppers." Okay,
I guess you could look at it that way, but I'm choosing to look at it. If I asked you, like, hey, is there a day you'd like to relive? There's probably something like, hey, this was a sliding doors moment that I know would have changed my life for one way or another. I know I would have said that, but this is such a minor, nonsensical thing that happened to him. I guess I'm taking him at his word that he really does fucking miss this stuffed animal. And how sad that's the thing he would go back and change.
Yeah, but he's also high.
That's true too. I guess you can't overlook that.
I don't really take anything he said in this video as any sort of concrete proof of anything.
He's apparently the most unreliable of narrators.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're looking at here. Interesting other side note. This is another story that has nothing to do with anything. This interview that he did with Vice magazine. Do you remember, Father Malone, New York Seltzer when we were kids?
Oh, of course. It was delicious.
It was delicious. They don't make it anymore, I don't think. There was a commercial.
Did Corey Haim have something to do with it? Was he busted drinking New York Seltzer in that child nightclub? Was Tina Yothers allowed into the child nightclub?
She was, actually. She was part of this group of kids.
Was Justine
actors.
Bateman there?
No, I think she was
warning us about the terrors of AI way back then.
But Haim does figure into this. I thought this was interesting. In the context of this interview, Randy Miller was the president of New York Seltzer. The commercial, do you remember the commercial for New York Seltzer? It was a guy jumping off of the roof of a hotel with a New York Seltzer in his hand. You don't remember this?
No.
You don't remember this? It was David Coverdale from Whitesnake sang the theme to this. It's like a hair metal theme. There's nothing in the world like New York Seltzer. And while this is all happening, you see this guy, Randy Miller. They show him with Tiger on a chain. He's like, hey, I'm a badass dude. And he jumps off of this hotel with a New York Seltzer. And he's like, hey, cheers. Corey Haim was there for that. He was friends with this guy, Randy Miller. And he was there. He was on the ground, like watching this guy do this stunt. Randy Miller somehow figures into this Alfie character. I don't know exactly how, but that came up during the context. And I was just like, fuck, I haven't thought of New York Seltzer in decades. That's so hilarious.
I have no objection to seeing Corey Haim again in the future. I just can't ever bear to see him like this again.
It is, look, all kidding aside, all jokes aside, it is a sad look at a star who's completely lost his way. It's just no way around it. And even sadder to know that he never found his way. That's really the ultimate wrenching aspect of this whole thing is if he mounted a comeback and was bigger and better than ever. We could look at this and laugh about it and say, all right, that was just a blip in the radar.
Yeah,
This
remember
was his
that?
life.
Remember that time you tried to convince everyone that you were clean when you were clearly fucked up? Yeah, it'd be like a Charlie Sheen.
Winning, it would have been. Because Charlie Sheen, although he's not necessarily considered the most stable of individuals, people don't talk about that when he went off the deep end and was talking about tiger blood and all that kind of stuff. But he made it through. But Corey Haim never made it through. That's sad.
No, he needed a
bummer.
friend, like a really good friend, like somebody else named Corey, to fucking put out a steadying hand instead of trying to recruit blondes to be his personal army. Gross.
Really gross.
That guy's gross.
Feldman? Oh yeah, he just seems greasy and not unsavory. He's a very unsavory character. That's my impression.
I bet his tongue is out of his mouth a lot of times. Like I bet that's like a sexy move for him.
I forwarded you that video from the two Coreys. There's a moment in the two Corey TV show that he's giving his wife a Valentine's Day present. And it's not a ring, it's not jewelry, it's not flowers. The wife comes home and outside is Corey with a 10-piece band singing the worst song ever because he believes he's a good singer and he's not. Corey Feldman, I'm here to tell you, cannot sing. He's terrible. And not only that, he gets into her face when the big finish happens in the song and he's doing the scat singing, I love you, baby. He is so close. He's probably a half inch away from his wife's face. And I felt such sympathy for her in that moment because she has to pretend that she's overcome with emotion at this display when I'm sure inside of her skin is crawling. Because how could it not, Father Malone, when he's singing an inch from your face?
Hey, she married him.
And then she very quickly divorced him. So there you go.
Who can blame her? I want a divorce from Corey Feldman now too.
I think the world wants to divorce Corey Feldman and has so for a long time. Everyone dislikes him except for that guy from Limp Bizkit.
Fred Durst?
Yeah.
Are they buddies?
They are buddies. Fred Durst brought him on tour with Limp Bizkit in their most recent tour. He was like one of the opening acts.
Did it all for the nookie.
Did it for something. See, Fred Durst bugs me too.
Remember Wes Borland and his creepy ghoulishness completely out of place in that band? Like, dude, you're in the wrong band.
The thing about it is, when Limp Bizkit was popular in the 90s, there was no wink and a smile at the audience. They believed in every bullshit song they sang. They took it seriously. So for them now, if you look at footage of them performing, it's, oh, here's Fred Durst. He's wearing another wacky wig and he's singing like a lounge singer. You don't get to be you don't get to say that you're part of the joke now. You don't get to do that.
I felt that way about Shatner.
Yeah?
Like everyone loves Shatner now, like the curmudgeonly old Shatner, because everyone at a certain point, we're going to love you because you're just old and haven't died yet. But when Shatner reframed himself as that sort of, I'm completely in love with myself narcissistic actor, I was like, no, you are that. Fuck you. You seemed like a nightmare your entire career. You don't get to coast on being the nightmare now. You don't get to continue your popularity.
You're not wrong. I will say he did an album with Ben Folds called Has Been. This was before he really let that part of his persona take over. Have you ever heard it, Father Malone? Has Been?
No. Why would I? I do not like Ben Folds or William Shatner.
It's a very good album. And the reason for that is because it actually was a kind of a peek behind what everybody thought they knew about him. There's a song on there. He found his wife drowned in the pool. I don't know if she killed herself or...
I unfortunately heard the 911 tape.
There's a song on there where he's actually basically singing a song to her. It's called What Have You Done? It's heavy stuff. It's him grappling with... This was 2004, so this was already 21 years ago. So even then, he was like grappling with the idea that I'm old. I don't have very much longer to go. What have I done with myself? Who am I? And what do I have to say for myself? I thought he since has gone on to refute that and make a lot of bullshit. Like he did a blues album, which is awful. But at the time, at least, it felt refreshing to see him going, you know what? that thing that I do, that sort of cover, it's all bullshit. This is really who I am. I'm a sensitive guy who's scared about a lot of stuff. I thought I was really brave at the time.
No.
You're not buying it at all.
Nope. Here's what I want to know. How does his blues album stack up against Steven Seagal's blues album?
It's worse. It's much, much worse. We've talked about this on a Noise Junkies episode. The Steven Seagal is terrible, objectively terrible. But at least there's still an element with Shatner of, I'm trying this, but there's still a wink and a smile. Like, hey, this is definitely William Shatner, the character, doing a blues album and what that entails. And plus he has all these like guest performers come in, like Slash or whoever else, like stuff like that. Whereas there's something admirable about Steven Seagal saying, yeah, this is my music, man. Take it or leave it. It's terrible. I will leave it. Thank you very much. At least the guy stands by it without artifice.
Yeah, I'll say again, the music on his album is good. He's just surrounded himself with really good blues musicians. We're going to say that's a bad album? How could you?
He's so hard to take seriously. At least Shatner, you know what you're getting, which is this is a guy he's dined out on his persona for decades, and that'll never change. Whereas Seagal is just predominantly known as an asshole who gave up his U.S. citizenship to go to Russia. He's just a weird guy.
And fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He should have been killed by a predator.
He wouldn't let it happen. It would be in his contract that he had to beat the predator with his
Hapkido.
Weird Hapkido. That's it. The sticky hands, the martial art that he practiced.
Steven Seagal's best movie, Executive Order.
Is that the one with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
It is.
Because he dies 20 minutes into the movie. He gets sucked out of the plane. Oh my God, this movie's great.
So let's try to wrap this up. There's not much more to say about this. I
don't have anything to say about it.
It's look, if you can sit through it, it is very interesting to see the lengths that he would go to try and rescue his career. And as a cautionary tale alone, it's worth visiting. But at the end of the day, if the conceit of this series is that I hate you because I'm giving you this entertainment that can't possibly be entertaining, I guess mission accomplished then, huh?
Oh my God, such a mission accomplished. And listen, listeners, if you consider me your friend and then you go watch this based on my recommendation, then you know what it's like to have HP hate you too.
It can only go up from here though, Father Malone. It can only get better. I can't imagine it's much worse than this.
Can't get much worse.
Like in comparison, the Billy Crystal show that we reviewed last time was like a walk in the park compared to this.
Wildly popular, that episode.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. People like you hating me, I guess.
Nice. It's such an interesting idea. The thing is, ultimately, when you and I do shows like Yautja Fest, series is like that, we want things to be good. We want to be entertained, and we want to pass on those good pieces of entertainment to you, the listener. So it's a unique spin on that to present you with things that I'm pretty certain you're going to hate. It's odd.
You knocked it out of the park with this one, man. Not only because of the subject matter, not only because it was interminable and because I've just hated my life, but this one was also so melancholic in a way that like it's going to be hard to beat. So please, whatever the next thing is, can it not involve ultimate tragedy?
I'll do my best.
All right. Until then, where can people find you, Mr. HP?
All right. On the lighter side of the entertainment spectrum, you can hear me on the Nightmares to Walters Taxi podcast, which I co-host with Father Malone here, of course. I'm an occasional guest on the Culture Cast with Chris Dashew. I host the Noise Junkies music podcast, and I have a Bandcamp site, hpmusicplace.bandcamp.com.
As for me, if you're listening on the Patreon page, thank you so much. It's probably where you're hearing this first. Come on, suckers, get on that Patreon page. You can hear this thing weeks early. Check it. Tune in every Monday. That's Father Malone's Weekly Roundup, where I review the latest in streaming and theatrical releases. And every Friday, it is a rotating show, a wheel of shows. It's Tales from the Dark Side reviews, and it's also Fusco Fest, and it's also Yautja Fest, looking at the Predator movies. So check us out on all of those. And I'm going to leave you with a bit of music here.
Who's the singer?
Well, I want to be.
Can you rap?
Yeah.
What's happening? Go ahead and rap for me one time.
No.
And what would you say at a party?
Jamming on the one.
Jamming on the one. Jamming on the one. Jamming on the baby. Jamming on the one. Jamming on the one, baby. Jamming on the one. Baby.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.